Hello, this is Sterling High School TV studio. Today is Wednesday, July 8th, 2020, and we are in summer mode here at the castle. We're going to take these off as we are 6 feet apart or pretty close to it. Welcome. I'm joined by Mr. Sheehan, our superintendent, and Mrs. Debbie Sukanit, our director of supervisor of special services for consistency. So, Mr. Sheehan, first, how are you doing with your family and everyone?
Good. Well, hey, let's think about week 2 of July. We got through the weekend, and we had a good time getting away, but we're very safe in doing so. So we felt good to spend that time together. But we feel we're in a good spot here moving forward.
Good. And can you introduce Mrs. Sukanit for those that may have not? This is her second year with us.
Yeah. So Deb's been at Sterling now. This is the end of her second year, starting her third year.
Right.
Came from Millville and had a good experience in special education. And we were thrilled to get Deb. And in her 2 years, she's done a lot in her 2 years. So I'd like to introduce Deb and have her maybe explain some of her accomplishments in her first 2 years.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure working here at Sterling over the last 2 years. Actually, I think the 9th is my third year, started the third year, July 9th. So I'm excited about that. I've enjoyed working with the teachers and the aides, and of course getting to know all of you, the students, the parents, just some successes. We've started a CPAC, a parent group. We've been able to get parents in the evenings and just open up the lines of communication between teachers and my youth study team. We've been able to bring in an LDTC for our learning consultant and testing and his participation in the meetings, Mr. Ken Hall, which many of you know. So that's been a great success. And just the overall inclusion and inclusiveness of our students with the general population. I've been very pleased with everybody's open door and open arms policy for our school clubs and our athletics and things like that, including our special needs population, all of those things.
So Deb, we have 2 new members of our department.
Yes.
How about you introduce them, give a little bit of their background?
Yes, so Mrs. Leah Kenny Stout started actually March 20th, right as we were transitioning to remote learning. So you have not met her yet, but she picked up right away where Mr. Cordova left off, and she's actually one of our extended school year teachers. So she's continuing to meet with students on Skype. And Miss Elizabeth Vierick will be starting with us in September, primarily doing social studies and history.
Great.
And then summertime's a big time in your department.
Yes.
School year extends through the summertime.
Yes.
Again, unique this year due to the climate, but how's that going?
We made the decision as a team early on to have our extended school year program offered remotely just because of the safety of our students. We do have a bus that runs in the summer, and just with all the uncertainties of that, we kept it as remote learning. So we have Mrs. Rossi doing our English, Mr. Kangas doing math, Mrs. Kenny Stout doing social skills, and who did I forget? Science. Miss O'Donnell doing science.
Great. With
us. And Mrs. Wilson is also doing a group, and Mrs. Labano is doing speech therapy. So we're using a combination of Skype and Teams to work with the kids. We started on Monday. We had some connectivity issues. I've been talking to some of you and the parents, and we're all but 2, and those 2 know who you are. We'd like to see you come online and join us, but we've been able to connect all but 2.
Now, Deb, when we go on remote instruction, back last March, what unique challenges did that present to your department?
Yeah, the same as as an employee working from home, sharing the connectivity, maybe sharing a device with someone in your home. So we had those issues. Students maybe weren't used to checking their email, their student accounts every day. They've checked their personal accounts, but maybe not their student accounts. So there was a lot of, and I think a lot of our students are used to being reminded all the time by teachers in person, this is due, don't forget this. And we asked a lot of our students to take ownership of their own learning and become independent with that. And that was a huge challenge for some of our kids.
Good. Well, thank you. So speaking of
Extended school year is still on remote. We're preparing for the fall. What are updates we're getting from the county or the state right now?
Right, so at the superintendent's level, we meet once a week now with the county superintendents to discuss the comings and goings with the CDC, with the state and the county as a return to school plan, opportunities, options. And the good thing to report, I guess, is we're kind of in it together. Everybody's going to formulate a plan that is going to be best suited for their individual districts, but there will be some commonalities, I guess, is what we're looking to say. Is there's 10 musts that districts have to consider, and they have to address those, and not only make their school board and their community aware, but also make the county aware that we're covering these must areas. If anybody saw the road back, it was a 100+ page document. But we just try to narrow down what are the things we have to do to bring students safely back into the building. So as an admin team, we'll share that with the admin team and the staff. They're going to work on that, and I think that's where Mr. Claiborne can talk about some of the committees that have been formed to prepare Sterling for these conversations and to develop a plan. So how about if I let you talk about the committees?
Yeah, so we have 3 major committees that is part of the road back, and they really kind of fit into some of the things that we already do. So one is a pandemic response team, which really ties right into our pre-existing safety team. So that team will review a lot of the aspects of just this health and safety of getting students in and out of the building. We also had what we're calling a CARES grant committee, which is related to facilities. So thankfully we were able to apply for a grant that would help us provide additional PPE products, cleaning products that are going to help to make this building safe and clean. And so there's a committee of people that are working through that to make sure we have the appropriate items on hand here at the building. And the last piece is the instructional committee, which is we're calling the Restart Committee. And that Restart Committee is made up of not only just administrators, as all the committees are, but this one particularly has a professional development team of teachers that are helping us gather information, make suggestions. They're developing surveys that'll go out to both the community about the restart of school and to the staff, some of the staff needs for the restart of the school. So those are our main 3 committees that we're using to develop the best plan for Sterling High School so that we can communicate that to the parties that you mentioned.
Right, and one of the things that the county is going to require us to do is about 1 month before the start of the school is to open in whatever capacity that may be, we want to make our Board of Education and our families aware so that they can properly plan, as well as our staff for what our return to school is going to look like. So I think it's important that we meet, we discuss, we look at options, and again, we're going to try to come up with what we think is best for Sterling High School, and then give you that information as best we can a month in advance so that they can make a plan as well.
And I just want to add that please know that we're making decisions both as educators and as parents. So we have our younger kids and our older kids, and we realize what the challenges face with the different age groups and being on different schedules and having 2 working parents in the household. So we're navigating all of that and making all of those considerations as well.
Good. And again, it's just the specifics on how it's going to best fit Sterling High School. We're going to try to get you that information a month in advance, and that we can get reflections back from both our staff, community on that process.
And if I could ask you a question, so we sent out a survey about 2 weeks ago, and it was to our returning students. And any feedback you can share from that initial survey? Anything that stood out? I had one thing that stood out, but I'll let you go first.
All right. What stood out is people are eager to get back to school.
Yeah.
There's also concerns, though, that people still have. How are we going to safely do it? The modified class, what might that look like? Those things stood out. So it was good to hear the support of, yes, I'd love to be there, but B, can we do it in a safe?
Smaller class sizes, wearing the masks.
Right. So those things.
And I think, and again, this could be a trick question because about 98% of the people could connect that responded, but maybe the people that can't connect couldn't respond to the survey because they couldn't see the survey. Mm-hmm. So, the connectivity issue is something that we're going to try to address through our CARES grant, through our planning this summer to make sure that if we are on any form of remote, that's not going to be an obstacle or hurdle to education. And whatever plan we put out there, we proposed a few, parents want to get kids back in. Mm-hmm. So again, we have to go back to how do we do it safely, and they had the ideas and the examples of how to do it in the past. Well, now they're sticking with 3 W's. Wear a mask, watch where you're at around people, and wash your hands. And those are things that you control, and that can help you stay healthy and others stay healthy. To me, they're pretty reasonable things to ask, not only of our staff, our students, administration, parents. I think that's a great opportunity to mitigate the pandemic here for the time being. So we'll see how things kind of pan out. And the other thing is, as we meet as superintendents, we meet weekly, but man, things change so fast with the health of society here. So that's always going to be a factor. Things are going to change and the mandates are going to change. We just have to work within those guidelines as best we can.
Okay, so highlighting today, thank you, Mrs. Sukanik, for joining us and giving us an
Thank you.
update. We look to find more information from us in early August on what the plan will be for the fall, and then if Mr. Sheen, you give us those 3 W's again. And
Yeah,
set
you
us
got to wear your mask. All right, we got our mask here. You got to watch where you're at in regards to other people, and you have to wash your hands. So I think they're important. And also, like, parent feedback is big. So anytime we put out a survey, we're going to do the best we can to advertise that, but we really value your responses. So, as they come out, we'll do the best we can to advertise, and please give your responses.
The key is for existing parents, you got to make sure your on-course email is correct. So contact us at the guidance office if you're unclear if your on-course information is up to date.
All right, very good.
And I do want to add that Miss King and I are back in the office full time. So if anyone needs anything, we're answering the phones and, of course, always checking emails.
And that's a good point. So Sterling High School, we've started our first phase back. Our 12-month employees are back in the building. We're at work here, so if you have any questions or concerns, please contact whatever office or come to the main office and we can direct you from there. Of course, follow your 3 W's. Be safe, be well, and as always, go Knights.
Knights.
Good night.